Good evening, everyone. Once again, good evening. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very important session today. We usually consider power distribution on the bottom in our priority list for events. I hope you would agree. But that's the most important thing to be considered. So I'd like to welcome now Vaibhav Kapoor from Third Wave Services, and he's here to share his experience and knowledge. Over to you, Vaibhav.
Hi everyone. I hope everybody is keeping safe. So again, power, as Nimit said, again very neglected subject, but a very important subject for our exhibitions and events. It is the backbone of every event. So the points which I'm gonna cover today in this presentation are firstly basics of electricity, and secondly the right methods, the wrong practices what used to happen, and the right equipment which is available in the market as of now, what can be used. So again, firstly, I want to show you some very pictures from site.
Vaibhav, just a second. Vaibhav. Everyone is requested to please keep themselves on mute. It's causing a lot of disturbance.
Everybody needs to be on mute. Yeah.
Everyone, can you please keep yourself on mute, please? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Nimit, you can also mute everybody. Mute all.
Okay, I just did that.
Now I think it's good.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So again, I'll show you some disturbing pictures from site. Again, what you see, open boxes, loose ends, a bucket earth. So again, when we are working in a exhibition hall, then everything, the power is being given us by the venues. But again, when we are doing some outdoor shows and all, so this is a very normal scenario, what you see on sites, that an open box is coming. And this is happens when you're taking a genset and your cabling is free, you're getting 50 meters of cable free. So this is what actually free looks like. So again, a lot of things wrong with this picture. A metal box, open ends of the cables, no protection. There is a bucket, the earthing, which I'm going to talk about. Again, a very important aspect of electrical distribution. So a lot of things can go wrong if power is not taken seriously. So again, open panels, we are dealing with a lot of outdoor events. I think everybody does. So open panels, there is a threat of rain, water, then dust, rodents, anybody can fall, trip onto it. So this is absolutely safe. If you look at these pictures, automatically you feel that this is totally unsafe. Again, a person trying to do area lighting, you see there is a cloth over here. So all those things pose a big threat. If this wire touches this cloth, there's gonna be fire on site. Loose cables, no lugs, open ends of the cables, aluminum cables are being used. This is a changeover. If you have any technicals on site, sound light, LEDs, or you are creating a backup, so a manual changeover. So all those things needs to be addressed. Otherwise, one day there is going to be a problem on site. So again, what is it that usually goes wrong in all when something goes wrong in an event? Inadequate wiring, undersized wiring. So when I say inadequate or undersized, so there is a certain capacity of genset if you're taking power. There is a certain capacity of the house power if you're taking power from house. And if you're putting undersized cables, not as per the load which is being given, ultimately what will happen? It will get heated up, they get melted, and it will result in fire. Second most common are overloads. Again, if there are no safety devices present to shut down the electricity, when I say shut down, there is again a certain capacity house power can give you. Maybe if you're taking 100 kilowatts, so the wiring also has to be laid according to 100 kilowatts. If you're trying to put more on the wire, if you're trying to put 150 kilowatts or more load on that, ultimately that will also result in fire on site. Ground faults, very common site on thing on site, ground fault, which are called earthing faults also. The most important thing, we're going to talk about this in my coming slides also, but it is the most important thing for any electrical system. It is a life jacket of any electrical system. If earthing is not good, it can cause human loss also on site. Live parts, again, open boxes, what I showed you in like first few slides. If everything is open, it is not enclosed. So again, there is a chance of people tripping. Somebody touches and you're dealing with 440 volts of electricity. There is no normal electrical shock. People are gonna die on site. Last, inappropriate use of temporary wiring. Again, if you're using as a rental company, if somebody is using wiring for a really long time, PVC cables, they tend to crack under like weather conditions. So again, the maintenance and your material also needs to be checked what is coming on site. So these 5 points, again, we're going to talk about. So just like remember these 5 points we're going to cover in my coming slides, how to overcome it and what can go wrong with all those things. So again, undersized wiring, overloads, ground faults, live parts, and inappropriate use of temporary wiring, which are the 5 major things which can go wrong in an event. Again, what are the dangers of dealing with electricity? Why safety in electricity is important? Why everything goes wrong in an event in electricity? First and foremost, electrocution can happen. Second, electric shock. Third, electric burns. And last is secondary injuries. So these are the 4 common things. And lastly is ultimately like fire also, which can result in human loss. So again, all these things when you are dealing with electricity can happen on site. So again, if it is a temporary electricity or permanent electricity, the hazards of electricity will always remain the same and they need to be addressed. So again, a top tip from our side that electrical repairs should be carried out only by persons who are qualified and authorized to do so. So when I say qualified and authorized, again, if as a power distribution company, the company needs to have an electrical contractor license. That is the most important thing while choosing a vendor or dealing with a vendor, that the company has an electrical contractor license of the state where he or the company is working on. There are some states where maybe like a Maharashtra electrical contractor license is also valid, but there are certain states which require their own electrical contractor license. Second thing, once the company has the electrical contractor license, the second thing comes, the people who are coming on site, are they even qualified to do so? When I say qualified, he has to be a diploma, he needs to have a degree, he needs to be a diploma holder or an engineer on site. It is the same way that a doctor can only become a doctor if he has an MBBS degree, or a lawyer can be a lawyer if he has an LLB degree. The same way, an electrical person is only authorized to do so till the time he has an electrical contractor license. And the second, the person who are coming and doing the job for you on site needs to be qualified to do so. So very important before like going ahead, these 2 things have to be kept always in mind, because these things will only come handy when something goes wrong. Maybe your event starts, maybe you get all the permissions, everything is fine. The day something wrong happens on site, a fire, anything, the first thing which is always asked, that who was doing the job? Is he even qualified and authorized to do so? So what is safest temporary power distribution service? Temporary power distribution is the method of transferring power from, again, one source. That could be your genset. There are 2 sources which we normally use for our events. One are the generators and second is the house power. To another, using the right safety methods and equipment. Again, we're going to talk about what is available in the market or what are the norms which are accepted all over the world. So temporary or permanent, the hazards of electricity will be the same if not done with proper measures. Again, giving you an example, if you're sitting in your houses, everything, you don't see any loose wiring here and there. If you have a main distribution board of your houses, you have some safety devices which are there, maybe like MCBs, you have switches. In the room where you're sitting, maybe you switch on one switch, your light comes on, the other switch, the fan comes on. Same way, the temporary power distribution also needs to be done. The circuits, whatever we are making maybe for our plug points, doesn't need to be there because there is equipment which is available in the market and it has to be done according to that as per international norms. In India, we still don't have any temporary electrification norms. Everything is being seen as permanent electrification. Same, permanent or temporary, it has to be done the same way. Again, generators, I think most of you are aware like what generators are. Generators are only machines which produce electricity on their own without the need of attachment to the main grid. So again, generators are only doing one job, that they are only generating power. They are not doing anything else. You can have the best of the gensets on site, the best companies and all. But till the time the genset, the wiring, the power is not transferred from the genset till the endpoint with the proper measures, there is no use of having the best quality of the genset on site. So again, genset, again, a lot of questions must be on gensets. So how to choose the best genset on site? Again, everything comes down to paperwork. If you want to check how old is the generator, you can ask your vendor to submit the manufacturing certificates of the gensets. So again, if the life of the genset could be up to 15 years also, but it all depends on the maintenance. So the maintenance records also can be taken. So an engine can be treated as a car. If you have like riding a car also, it is the same. The engine requires maintenance. So if your car manufacturer says that after every 5,000 kilometers or 10,000 kilometers, it needs to be serviced with the authorized dealer, the same genset companies also say that after every 300 hours of running, the genset has to get maintenance. So the types of backups which are available are basically, one is the manual, the second is the automatic transfer switch, and third is the synchronization, which are available as of now, which I think like normally are being used. So manual, just to give you a brief, what is a manual changeover? That if you have like one genset running and you have like a hot backup, if something happens, the load gets transferred from one genset to another via a manual changeover. The person has to be present on site to shift the power from one genset to another. That could be time consuming, because the time you realize that something has happened on site, and when you pass on the message maybe on a walkie or by a phone call, so losing that 15 seconds to maybe like 1 or 2, 3 minutes also, that can take time from one genset to go on the other generator. Automatic transfer switch, again, it means automatic. So if something happens on site, the genset conks off, something goes wrong with the generator, the power gets transferred from one genset to another within a span of 1 second. You can set the automatic transfer switch from 1 second to like 3 minutes, but again, like when we are dealing with like live events or exhibitions and all, the power is important, so we want that the power should come on immediately. So the automatic transfer switch can be set to like a 1 second timer also. This is the transfer switch what we are using as of now. So basically, like over here, like if you see my pointer, this is your main genset. These are the power locks. I'm going to talk about like what power locks are. So the main genset is from the left hand side, the backup is on top, and the power is going from here. Over here, like in these changeovers, what we have done as a company, that we can loop these changeovers. So in an event, if you have like maybe like a sound, light, LED or something which is important over there, you can loop these changeovers also. It is possible to loop, so you don't need to have one-on-one backup, like maybe like a sound backup or maybe AC or maybe stalls. If you are building, you don't need to have multiple backups on site. The probability says that you can put 3:1 probability on site. So if you have 3 running genset, you can have 1 backup and we can loop it also. So again, with this automatic, there is one more thing which is important. It is the automatic transfer switch. The company claims that nothing is going to happen. There is a warranty and everything. If by chance the automatic transfer switch doesn't work, there is a manual switch also given over here, which can shift the power manually also in case maybe like 0.001% the automatic transfer switch doesn't work. So this is what a automatic transfer switch are. Again, we're going to talk about like what is IP67 and what are power locks, but it has to be totally enclosed, because most of the time the automatic changeovers or the manual changeovers are kept outside on sites. The third is synchronization. So what is synchronization? In a case of manual and automatic, what I told you, that the main genset is running on load, the other ones are just idle, what we call as hot backup. In synchronization, they share the load. If 3 gensets are running in synchronization, if the load is maybe 240 kilowatts, so how they are running is 80, 80, 80. So they are sharing the load amongst each other. If something happens without any delay, which is on site, you won't, it is seamless power. So in automatic, there is a delay of like a second, well, there is a flicker which happens. In synchronization, there is no flicker. So 80, 80, 80, they are running, the total load is 240. So they are running on 80 kilowatts, 80 kilowatts and 80. If something happens to this genset, So automatically this 80-80 will be divided among these two. So basically it is also called marriage of two gensets. It is also called paralleling two generators. So this is what synchronization. So these are the three things which are available as of now, which are available in India, and in abroad only synchronizations is being used. So there are gensets which are compatible for synchronization. An old genset can't be, otherwise you need to have synchronization panels. It can only happen with the same company genset. So if you're using Cummins gensets on site, so the other gensets or the synchronization what you're creating also has to be Cummins. If you're using Caterpillar, then again it has to be all Caterpillar gensets on site. So this is for the genset. Nimit, are you going to take questions right now? There are some questions on the chat, or you want to take
a couple of questions here. So before we proceed, let us just take 2-3 questions now, and then we can.
Yes, sure.
So we've got one question. I don't know the name of the person because it is not showing properly, but it says that he wants to know which genset gives maximum output.
Which genset gives max? I didn't get that question.
Yeah, I too didn't get. So if
with genset gives maximum output, it doesn't depend. Like you can have like any company genset, you can have like a Cummins, you can have like a Caterpillar, you can have like a Kirloskar on site. It just like depends that what is the capacity of the genset. And normally the genset can give you 80% of load if the genset is maintained properly, if it is in a healthy condition and all. So if you're taking like a 500 kVA genset, it means 400 kilowatts. The simple calculation anybody wants to do on site is that if you want to convert kVA to kilowatt, you multiply it by 0.8. So you'll get kilowatts. So 400 kilowatts is the 100% output. Gensets don't usually run on 100%. They usually run on like maybe 80% or 90%, depending on how it is being maintained or how old is the genset. So again, the maximum output depends on the quality of the genset what you're coming on site.
Yeah, I think that should answer his query. So then we've got from Avinash Sinha, what is the maximum life of wire doing outdoor or indoor events?
What is the maximum? Sorry?
Maximum life of wire if you're doing outdoor events or indoor events.
See, outdoor definitely the wire, like it can see again. It like depends what kind of cables you're using. If you're using like PVC, the like aluminum armored cables and all, that is PVC. It tends to crack. It tends to crack maybe like after like it depends like if your godown is shaded or not shaded also. But you can see those cracks physically on site. If somebody wants to see, you see that the PVC tends to crack. On the other hand, if you're using like rubber cables and all, it doesn't, because rubber has more shelf life. So rubber cables are definitely like better to use. Rubber copper cables, I mean, rubber copper cables are available in the market because rubber usually like when it is heat also, it expands and contracts. While as PVC cracks, because when you're making a roll out of a PVC armored cable, so then it automatically cracks. So it's better to, it depends on the material what you're using. The shelf life can go up to like 10 to 12 years also. That's not a problem. It just physical checks needs to be important. What I mean to say.
Okay. Then Surinaji wants to know how do you do sync? Is there an equipment for that?
So basically, if you're buying like a genset, like it is compatible to sync. So it is a synchronization panel which is already like available inside the genset. So normally a genset comes with a panel. So this is a sync panel. So there are certain gensets. The sync in again like Cummins or all those gensets is only possible 500 kVA and above. There's company like Agricos, which is a multinational company. I think like most of you must have heard about it. They have sync gensets 300 kVA. That is the minimum sync they have, which is available to us. But if you go to like Cummins and all those, it is all 500 kVA and above.
Well, I have a question here. So, for example, we are distributing power for, let us say, 4,000 kilowatt, and it's an entire outdoor event.
Yeah.
So, is it possible to have backup for the entire 4,000 kilowatt?
So as soon as you, Nimit, as soon as you start using synchronization, so what happens like if you're having like 4,000 kilowatts of load, I say that you have taken 500 kVAs, like you made a set out of it. Your 500 kVAs can give you like a 60 or 70% output, which could be like 350 kilowatts. So again, if we have 12 gensets on site to cater to your load, so what happens in synchronization, you have two more extra. So if your load is 4,000, make it 5,000, make it 5,000 kilowatts, because anyways you make up backups. So in synchronization, what happens that all the 12 gensets, when they are running on load. Nothing is running idle, nothing is backup. So they are backup of each other. So if something happens to one, the other takes up. So then you're creating 12 backups on site.
Got it.
So recently, just to give you an example, like I did like we were talking about it. So last month, last month, I'm saying like in the month of February, we did Namaste Trump. So again, over there, it was a high profile show. There can't be a flicker also when Trump is on site or Modi ji is on site. So what we did, we created a backup of, in total, like my load was 7,000 kVA. So we got like 1250 into 4 numbers plus 500s and all. So everything became a backup of each other. So the whole show, sound, light, LED, delays, AC, everything had a backup.
Got it.
So it becomes, reliability becomes very high, efficiency becomes very high. So that is the whole benefit of synchronization.
Got it. So we've got a couple of more questions. I'll be very quick. From Roshan ji, is submission of a PWD test report mandatory for an event organizer to have?
Yes, I feel so, because most of the time as a power distribution company, we are not getting into it, but most of the time the event organizer is asking for maybe like a electrical undertaking, is asking for our electrical contractor license. So these two things, majorly when we are doing exhibitions or events, these two things have always been asked from us.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a question for repeating the formula, but which Sunil Moreji has already explained in the chat box. So what is the cable that you suggest for a 12 OVA dimmer pack? For the Parkins, we use 2.5 square mm for the. I'm not able to understand this question.
So basically, like I think like what they're trying. So basically, it all depends on the load. So there are different cables which are made. So again, like if a genset is, I'll just like give you an example. If a genset can give 60 kilowatts, there is a certain cable which can take a 60 kilowatt load. If you have load of 80 kilowatts, there is a certain cable. So again, like if you're using 2.5 square mm wire, so that means your load should not be more than 2 kilowatts. I feel like the Parkins and all which are being used are not more than some watts. So I think a 2.5 square mm 3-core copper cable, if you are using, then it is good for your Parkins.
Okay, got that. Do you recommend using one genset for LED sound installs in case one genset?
So normally, like, because again, like it becomes a different technical subject. So what I've heard from like technicals also, that your sound and LED has to be on a separate genset. It can be on a separate genset, and your light has to be separate. So there is a reason. I've had a lot of discussions over that also. So in light, what happens that your lights are going up and down. Like, sometimes your mode phase are going up, maybe your sharpies are going up and down. So there can be a humming sound which can come in sound. So it is suggested that you keep your sound and LED separate, and you keep your light genset always separate.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. Then we've got one from Sarabji ji. What should be the ratio for ground earthing in outdoor shows? Suppose we're covering an area of 10,000. Is it 10,000? 1 lakh. 10,000 square meters.
So ratio of ground earthing, sir, it always like depends at what kind of structure you're building. So there are two types of earthings which I'm going to cover. One is the neutral earth and one is the body earth which needs to be done. So there is no formula of calculating that for a 10,000 meter square that this earthing needs to be. The earthing has to be everywhere. Earthing has to be like everywhere, wherever you're distributing power to your stalls. So there are certain cables what we can use which provide earthing from the first point till the end point. Also, I'm going to cover all those things also.
Okay. I'm just taking two before we proceed. Can you list out the HSSE parameters for genset during operation and before after operation?
So the parameters are basically like, there are very normal parameters. So again, I told you, like if you check the manufacturing, if you check the maintenance records, I think most of your is done. But when the genset is coming on site, there is a physical check. See, again, in the starting slide, I showed you some pictures which you look and you feel that it is absolutely unsafe. Same with the genset. When the genset is coming on site, if you open the doors, if there is any oil leakage which is happening on the ground of the like the base of the genset, automatically it is not right. So genset has to be absolutely clean. The engine has to be right. You can check the air filters. You can check the oil filters. Same like usually when we take our car to the petrol pump, we tell them to check the mobile oil. So the same way engine also has to be checked like that.
Okay. Last question. How much load is actually for a 100-ton air conditioning for an event?
So basically, the calculation from ton to kilowatt, whenever we do it, it again like depends on equipment to equipment. The normal calculation is from 1.6. You multiply tons into 1.6 or 1.75. That is like it just like depends from machinery to machinery. But this is a normal calculation which everybody is using as of now. Is you multiply it by 1.6. The range is 1.6 to 1.75. So you'll get kilowatts.
Yeah, we usually actually for the safer side we take it actually 2. So
it can be taken, but two is always on the very higher side. 1.75 is good enough for any kind of like air conditioning which is coming on site.
I hope my team is able to get that. My team is also online listening to you. Thank you. There's one question which I've got on my WhatsApp. Yep. Probably you can answer this later on also. Maybe you are covering what kind of safety care you suggest for staff.
Yeah, we will be covering all that. We'll be covering all that.
All right, guys, we are proceeding forward now, and for some of you who had joined late, I've got one sincere request. If you like the session, just give some sort of feedback, because I find it very strange to talk to my laptop the whole day. So just show us your support. Just say something about what we have covered so far, because it will also encourage the speaker as well.
Yeah.
So we are good to go now. We are proceeding now.
Yes, let's do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can we have more feedback? Like I've got one from Sadhanand. Superb.
Okay, so again, like we've spoken about genset, we've spoken about like what can go wrong with electricity. We have spoken about gensets. So let's move. So again, people who are not aware like what electricity. So we'll cover like basic, basic parameters of electricity in India. So everybody should remember that in India, the voltage, which is most important, which is coming from grid, your hydro, thermal, whatever. The Indian voltage in a single phase system is 220 to 240 in a single phase and 415 volts in a 3-phase. So again, there are different countries who are working on different voltages. If you go to America, they are working on 110 voltage. In India, the power what we are getting is 220 to 240 on a single phase. So any equipment what you are using, let it be your ACs, let it be your maybe like a food stall, fryer, freezer, microwave, anything what you're using in India, the equipment, or if you're importing from China also, or from Germany, anywhere in the world, the equipment what you are getting is as per Indian voltage. This can be seen on behind of any equipment also, you can check. So it will always say 220 to 240 single phase and 415 volts is the 3-phase. So when I say single phase and 3-phase, just to keep it very simple, there are 4 wires what I think everybody must have seen. There is a black color wire, there is a red, there is a yellow, and there is a blue. The black color wire is called the neutral wire, and the red, yellow, blue are called phases wire, or they are called live wires also. So again, when we say single phase has to be 220 to 240, a multimeter, if you have like on site, or like maybe your distros are equipped with a meter, whenever you put a multimeter on the black or any of the colors, so black, red, yellow, or blue, you will always get 220 to 240 volts. Only. When you will check color to color, again, that could be any combination, red to blue, blue to red, yellow to this, you will always get 415. Once those 2 parameters you see on a multimeter, your electricity is good to go. The time these parameters are not met, if your voltage is higher or under this range, so 415 to 440 normal voltages, if your voltage is up or if it is down, then you should not start your electrical system, because it is bad for the equipment. Something can go wrong on site also. So again, over here, if you'll see, I've written that voltage, when the voltage is too high, it can cause premature failure of electrical or electronic components, that is the circuit boards, due to overheating. So again, our equipment is made as per a certain voltage range, which is again this. If those parameters are not met on site, a lot of things can go wrong on site. It can, like if you have like maybe your lights installed, or maybe your LED installed, or maybe for your AC motors also, if the voltage goes higher, it can cause burn of the electrical equipment also. So these parameters always have to be the same. So these 2 parameters always have to remember. The third thing is, now I told you that from neutral to phase, if you check, the voltage is coming. So now the voltage between the earth and the phase and the live wire. So the earthing wire is always on the outside of the box. So again, if you take a multimeter, if you put it on earth and you put it on any color, red, yellow or blue, you will always get 230 volts. It could be between 220 to 240. So these parameters also needs to be checked. Fourth is voltage between the neutral, the black color wire and the earth. Your earthing wire, we're going to talk about the earthing. So your earthing wires is outside the box. So basically you have 4 wires. So we'll just like go back to the first slide so that it's easy for you guys to understand. So these are the 4 wires. So again, I told you that if you put multimeter on the black and the blue or black, yellow, black or red, you will always get 220 to 240. If you check blue to yellow or red to this, you will always get 415 to 440. These are the voltages. Over here, there is no earthing. It is an open box. Normally, this metal box needs to be earth. It needs to be earth properly. So if you will put the multimeter on the earth, normally there has to be a bolt over here and green color wire has to be connected on this. So if you will put the multimeter one on this and this, you will always get 230, 220 to 240 volts. And if you check neutral to your earthing, you will always get 0 volts under idle conditions. Again, that can go up to 0 to 5 volts also. If it is up to 0 to 5 volts, your electricity is good to go. There is no problem. Then only you need to start the electricity. Otherwise, anything can go wrong on site. Frequency valid for like for your gensets. The frequency has to be set 49.5 to 50.5. Again, what is frequency? It is just the running cycles of the gensets. So frequency always has to be according with this range. If all these parameters are right, you can switch on your electricity. Earthing we're going to talk. So again, just to summarize the whole thing, single phase and 3 phase. The voltage I told you 415 to 440. In a single phase 220 to 240. The power loss is minimum in a 3 phase system. Power loss is maximum in a single phase system. That's why all your sound, light, LEDs, AC, everything is working on 3 phase system. After 3 phase, we can convert it into single phase also. Efficiency is higher in a 3 phase system. It is less in a single phase system. Okay, so any questions on the basic parameters? Nimit, do you have any questions on those?
Yeah, we've got one from Avinash Ji. Which phase is essential for outside events, especially in case of cultural events?
Sorry, you have to be. Can you repeat the question?
Okay. Which phase is essential in case of? Oh, it just disappeared. Which phase is essential in case of events, especially in case of cultural events? Probably, I think what he wants to know is that if we are doing a cultural event in outdoor, what phase is required? So it's a very simple answer.
So basically, it depends on the power requirement. So all the gensets which are being produced, everything is single phase. So you see all the gensets, they have 4 links. One is the black, red, yellow and blue. So automatically you taking 3 phase power and then you can convert it into single phase. If you have single phase requirements, then that can be done on site, but everything is 3 phase only. Then after that it gets converted into single phase. If your requirement is very minimal, then there are certain genset, but single phase, again, up to maybe 7 kilowatts or 8 kilowatts, you can use single phase. But it is recommended that you go for a 3 phase system. Yeah.
Avinash, I hope that your query is solved. If you want to know something else regarding to this question, you can unmute yourself. Okay, I think we are good to go. Let's proceed, Vaibhav. I'm actually getting a lot of appreciation on my personal chat box for you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's move. So again, basic parameters I told you. So we'll just simplify. So again, it is a very technical subject. So the unit of power. So again, whenever you're going for a site visit, your unit of measurement is feet, centimeters, meters. So again, when you're dealing with power, the unit of power is always in volts, watts and amps. So these are the 3 things the whole electricity is based on. We are always talking about either voltage, either watts or kilowatts, or either amps. So again, I've tried to simplify so that you understand what are volts, watts and amps. So just imagine that we'll take a water pipe. Water pipe, maybe in your house, you have a tap. So till the time your tap is closed, there is pressurized water which is inside the tap. So the pressure inside the water is your voltage. The pressure always has to be right in water. If the pressure is not right, obviously you won't get any water. So the voltage which is coming either from the genset is generating, or your grid power is coming, or you've taken from Adani, BSES, Tata, wherever you guys are based in, wherever you're taken. So the pressure always has to be right. So that is the voltage. So the voltage which I've spoken, again 220 to 240, 415 to 440, that's the pressure needs to be right. Now comes the amps. Amps is the flow of electricity. Amps is the flow of electricity. If you open the tap little bit, little amps will come out. If you open the tap totally, lot of amps will come out. So again, in terms of electricity, the genset which is generating your power is only the voltage is being generated. Watts is the rate of energy. So basically, what does that mean? You have a genset which can generate 120 kilowatts of power, but you are only taking 60 kilowatts, 70 kilowatts, 80 kilowatts because of the amps. So that is only the method of measuring the rate of energy transfer. That is what watts and kilowatts are. So 1000 watts is equal to 1 kilowatt. You should just remember, I'll just put it on the chat also because it is an important thing. So 1000 watts is equal to 1 kilowatt. That is the calculation. And if you want to convert kilowatts to amps, 1 kilowatt in a three-phase system is you can multiply by 1.7. So that is your amps. This is the basic calculation, what you have to remember always. So any electrical material which is being made, the MCBs or anything, whenever we are going to the market to buy anything, everything is made in amps. Your MCBs, your MCCBs, everything, your power sockets, your industrial sockets, your CFOMs, every time we are talking about amps. We are only talking about kilowatts when we need that how much is the total kilowatts, and then we decide the amps. So this is the whole difference between volts, watts and amps. So again, I'm going to use a lot of amps in my language. So everybody needs to be know that it is the flow of electricity, the cables. What we said that the genset can generate the power, the house power can only give us the total power, but what is being flown the wire. So there are certain wires which can take certain amps, and there are certain, if the wire size is bigger, obviously it can take more amps. Okay. Most important thing, what we spoke about, earthing. It is the most important thing. Why earthing is important? First and foremost, earthing is used to protect you from an electric shock. Most of the time you see that only 4 wires are being used. That earthing wire is always that patla sa wire. Why? Because nobody wants to invest in the safety wire. What earthing is basically doing, it is saving you from an electric shock. It is only meant for safety. It is only meant for safety. So the idea behind an earth is that if there is any power fault, the current will be directed into the ground rather than into the people. What does that mean? So there are 2 types of earths which needs to be done always on site. In case of when you're using genset, there is a neutral earth and then there is a body earth. These 2 earthing always needs to be done separately for each and every genset. If you have 40 gensets on site, every genset needs to have a neutral earth. The body earth you can loop. So what is that earth? So I'll just go back again, sorry, to my first slide because it's be easy for you to understand. So if you see that there is this, I'll just open my pointer here. Okay. So if you see there is this black wire, these wires could be coming from the genset, this black, yellow, blue and red. You see this bucket earth. Again, first of all, when we are saying earthing, the name itself says that earthing requires earth. This can't work at all. It is just a formality. It is only giving you values to maybe switch on your sound light LED, but the time it is most important is for the safety. If something goes wrong on site, this wire will not help saving any life on site. There is going to be a disaster on site. So what is happening over here? There is a rod, what you can see, there is a small wire which is being there and it is connected to the black wire. So automatically when it is connected to the black wire, when the power is flowing, it has the neutral earth has reached over here till this junction point. This wire, as per the rules, has to be of the same size the neutral wire is. So normally as per Indian electricity, like the cables what we are getting, we are always having 3.5 core aluminum armored, you must have heard. So what does that mean? That the 3 cores have to be of the same size and that 3.5, that 0.5 is the neutral. So the neutral can be half. whatever is the neutral size, the earthing size has to be the same. If you are using a one, maybe like a 250 kVA genset, to give you example, in Bombay, like where I stay, so the genset guy says that they only give 120 kilowatts of power from a 250 kVA genset. So for a 250 kVA genset, we are using 95 square mm rubber copper cable, because that can take a load of that many amps. According to that same wire, the half size, maybe like a 50 square mm, the neutral wire has to be there, and the same wire has to be there for the earthing also. Why? I'll just give you an example. Why is that earthing important? If there is any unbalance on these wires, unbalanced load, which can happen like in events, why does it happen? Maybe you have put a lot of lights on the blue circuit, less on the yellow, and maybe more on the red. So there is an unbalanced load which is going on side. That earthing takes the unbalanced loads to the ground. It takes the unbalanced load through the ground. So imagine that if you're having a 60 kilowatts genset, your neutral size is half, which is 30 kilowatts. If you're using this kind of wire, if there is any unwanted current, which happens over here, if the wire size is so small, this wire can't take it to the ground only. You need the right size of earthing wire to take it inside the ground. That is why the earthing is important. The second type of earthing, which I told you, is the body earth. Body meaning any body. Electrical body, maybe like this changeover body, anything which is generating electricity. That could be your truss also, that could be your hanger also. Why I'm saying a hanger? Why? Because on the hanger, you're putting a lot of LED lights. You're doing general lighting inside the hanger. If by chance one live wire touches the metal structure, what will happen? The whole hanger becomes electrically charged. So what needs to be done as a precaution so that the person doesn't get an electric shock? You need to do body earth of the hanger. How it is done? It can be done. This is the way like what we are doing. So there are two types. Either you can use copper rods also. If you're, see, there are different type of earthings which can be done on site. Most commonly for live events, it is suggested that we use rods. We can use, so there is pipe earthing also, there is plate earthing also, there is chemical earthing also, there is this GI rod earthing also. It just depends from your site to site for how long do you have the site. If you're having the site only for like a maybe like a day, 2 days, and then your event is on the third day or all, this type of earthing works. It is not bad. It is not necessary that every time you have to put koila, namak. It is not necessary. You can use these rods depending on the soil where you're doing. The earthing needs to have less resistance. That is what we are trying to create. So normally what we do, that we dig these GI or maybe copper rods inside the ground. These rods could be from 4 feet to 6 feet. 6 feet is definitely suitable. So 6 feet rods go inside the ground. Over here you see that these green color wire, it is connected to this rod with a lug. So this is a lug, if somebody doesn't know like what a lug or what we call a thimble also. So these wires needs to be thimbled. Any wire. The first slide also which I showed you, they were open wires. They had been done with a plas pechkas. They have to be done with a proper lug, so that the connection between the lug and the wire is always strong, even though when you're getting it from your warehouse. So that these strands, because ultimately these strands are taking all the power. While when you're using loose wire, when you're dealing with the plas, when you're trying to tighten the wires, if these strands break, so this is a 4 square mm wire, maybe few strands break, maybe it can become a 3 square mm wire. You're thinking that you're providing power up to 4 kilowatts from a 4 square mm wire, but when you're doing those loose connections on site, when these strands break, it becomes a 3.3 square mm wire. So ultimately, when the wire comes, these lugs need to be there. Same way, the lugs have to be there on the earthing wire, which are properly tightened with a plas or maybe a spanner, and the connection between the earth rod and the wire needs to be proper, so that if there is any unwanted current, it will take from this wire into the ground. That is what the whole purpose of the earthing wire is. So the whole earthing wire is also important, and your way of doing the earthing is also important. The pipe earthing can also be done. It depends from vendor to vendor how they are doing their earthing. If you have a lot of time on your side, maybe you have the site for like 10 days or 15 days or maybe 5 or 7 days, then you can go it for the pipe earthing. Pipe earthing, again, it is a like a round pipe like this. There are certain holes in this pipe which goes inside the ground. In that you can put water, you can put coal, you can put salt, because they help for low resistance of the earth. So that is the whole purpose of earthing. Now, if by chance, if you're trying to touch a electrically charged, maybe like a box, so what the earthing is basically doing, because your body has more resistance and the earthing has less, the electricity always take the low resistance path. So ultimately it takes the path to the ground, not to your body. If the earthing is not there, your body will take those currents like electrocution or electric shock. So again, the earthing system has to be done for each and everything which is coming on site. Neutral earth for the genset. If you're using house power, then the neutral is already earth from the grid. So you don't need to worry about that. The only thing you need to worry is that you need to do body earth of your hangers, of your trussing, everything from scaffolding, anything which has a light on top of it. It could be your single pagoda also, which has one bulb on it. If a live wire touches the metal, it becomes electrically charged. So earthing, very, very important thing for any electrical distribution. Okay, so any question? I think a lot of questions must be there for earthing.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions, Weber.
Yeah.
One is on the what are the standards you suggest for electrical safety wiring cabling? So you would like to answer this now, or it is covered in?
It is. We are going to cover all those things also.
Sandeep Dhakaji, we will answer your query once Weber covers that topic. Now moving on to, we have a question from Sabi. If the gensets are parked far from, will it affect the total power output?
No. So again, like that is a very common question which I've been receiving, that is there any power loss? No, there is no power loss. There is a power loss, but everything comes down to undersized wiring. So if your genset is parked maybe like 300 meters also, I have done this like last month with maybe like a Namaste drum. My genset were parked 300 meters and we had laid wires of 300 meters for each and every maybe sound, light, LED. What happens is that if you're using undersized wiring, you will definitely get a power loss or a voltage loss. Power loss, no, a voltage loss. If you're using the right size of wire according to the right size of the genset, there is no power loss. It always depends on, there are 2-3 factors. So the one factor can be how much load are you putting on the cable. Normally for events, we are not overloading the cable. In case of undersized cable, it could be overloaded. But if you're using the right size of cable, maybe I told you, like if a 250 kVA genset can give me only 120 kilowatts, so then we are using a 95 square mm copper cable, which as per the rule says that it can take a load up to 250 amps. If you calculate 120 into 1.7, the calculation which I gave you, maybe it will come around 200. So we are using the right size of the cables. Now, when we are loading the cable, we are not putting 250 amps on it. Maybe we are only putting 200 amps on it, or maybe we are putting only 160. If you travel a distance of 300 meters also, there is no power loss. So the right size of cables, if you're using, there is no chance that you can receive a voltage loss. If you're going to a distance of 500 meters, 600, that is a separate story altogether. But up to 300 meters, 900 feet, there is no problem.
Okay, thank you, Vaibhav. In case if you feel that things are going above your head, you can always contact Vaibhav later on. We will share his contact details, and he will have all your queries answered. Yep. Moving forward on other questions, we have got from Mike. In a hotel, how do you get proper earthing if the earth is not good?
So again, I'm reading the question. If you're doing an event in any hotel, in that which earth is possible to use?
It's at 441.
Yes. Yeah. I got the question. So basically, in a hotel, what is happening? So if you're using only hotel power, if you're using the house power from the hotel, the only earthing you require is the body earth. Neutral, whenever you're taking power from BSES, Tata, hotel, anywhere you're taking the power, the neutral is always earth from their system, because that is the most important thing. The only earthing what you need to do in a hotel is the body earth. You will ask the hotel, they will give you the body. So there could be a earthing strip which is inside the hotel. They'll tell you that tap it from here. Nobody will stop you from taking body earth. Everybody will stop you from taking the neutral earth.
Yeah. Okay. Then there's another one from Gaurav. There are two types of earthing, normal or chemical. Which is better in machinery fair?
Which is where?
This is right after that question. There are two types of earthing,
Yeah.
normal or chemical, which
Yeah.
is better in machinery effect. Probably wants to say that if there's a high load requirement, which is better.
So again, like in a machinery load, it is definitely preferred that we use like again pipe earth or maybe chemical earth also. The pipe earth also is good for that. So see, basically whenever you're nurturing the ground, if you're watering it, you're putting like coal, salt, it all depends on the load. The higher the load, the good earthing has to be there. It all depends on like loads what you're dealing with. I'm talking about like maybe like a hotel or maybe like a small place or like where only sound light LEDs, they don't run on a lot of load. But when you have a lot of ACs, when you have a lot of like huge loads, then it is preferable that you go for the copper earth. Maybe like these rods also will work. These rods will also work if you create like a maybe like a like you dig a hole and you keep on like watering it, put charcoal and salt, or you can use chemical also. Chemical again, it is a expensive earth. You can use these also. These also work absolutely fine. There is no problem at all.
Okay. Weber, we got very important question from Abhishek Singhal from Agra.
Yeah.
He wants to know, isn't the hanger, earth, because we are doing khutas, usually how have you seen a hanger getting installed?
Yes.
We do khutas on the base plates, right? So
see, those you're absolutely right. Those anchor nails work, but definitely what is happening, maybe those anchor nails, if they are not touching the hanger, I don't know. But normally when we are doing the earthing for the what you call the LED lights which are on top, so the lights which are coming like when the circuit is being made, over there only on that box, that needs to be earth. That is what we are like normally for hangers, we do that.
Okay. And then we've got another question from Sarabjit ji. One good body earth for hanger is sufficient?
Yes.
What is the quantity we usually depend on the size? How do you do it?
So one good body earth for the hanger, Sarabjit ji, is absolutely fine. So basically, if you have like a huge hanger, maybe like a 80-meter hanger, then again maybe on one side and on the other side also. Because see, by the end of it, again your hanger is interlinked. When you do earthing on one point, it automatically like reaches till the end point also. But if you are going like if your hanger span is longer, then it is suggested that you do two body earths, just to be on the safer side.
How deep should be the earthing bucket? Does it depend on the load?
The bucket?
Yeah.
Bucket is not at all suggested. Bucket only works as a formality. Bucket is only giving you values to start your equipment. It is not for the safety.
It was shown like what not to learn. It was not supposed to be learned. You're not supposed to do bucket earthing. Correct, Weber?
Bucket earths, please don't do. It is the most riskiest thing on site anybody is doing if they are doing bucket earth. And it is a very common earth which is being used. Why? Because whenever, like I've seen, like whenever that genset comes and that 50-meter free cable comes, so this is what free looks like. That was my first slide, that if you want something for free, this is exactly free cables and free box and a free earth. The whole power distribution was done in that one slide only. Whatever we are talking is all extra because these things are necessary.
Thank you. So I think we're good to go to further slides. Before we move further, friends, if you're liking the session, just write why in the chat box so that I and Vaibhav get to know. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So we can continue. Thank you.
Okay. So again, we've spoken about like what things can go wrong. Genset voltages have to be right. Earthing has to be absolutely with copper, GI rods, pipe earthing. It all depends on the loads what you're dealing with and all. So again, what can be done now? So like safety first, never compromise. So again, ISI reputed make cables, good quality cables. Again, everything comes back to quality of the material what is being used. When it comes to electrical, it becomes very important because again, the material is being used again and again. It can cause human loss on site. So everything has to be right. IP rated material, I'm going to talk about what are IP rates rated and all. Safety equipment, MCB, ELCBs, MCCBs, power locks. We're going to talk more about that also. Again, IP rated panel enclosures. Digital meters for monitoring basic energy parameters. So which I told you that the basic parameters of electricity, voltage, frequency, load, digital meters are available, which can be put on a panel or a distro or anywhere so that you don't need to carry a multimeter. Even a layman which is on site can check those basic parameters of electricity if they are right or if they are wrong. Earth fault meters, we've spoken about what can go wrong with the earthing. It is very important. It is for the safety of humans and all. Earth fault meters are also available, which can be again put on your panels and all. So all those things are available in the market. It is not that these things are not available. They are being used everywhere also. Over voltage, under voltage meters, again, they are available. Online monitoring of electrical parameters, it is the future. So what is online monitoring? I'm just going to give you. So this is what we are trying to do in these coming months. So all the panels, so everybody, like normally what we've seen, everybody is concerned about how much load the genset is giving. What we want to achieve with on, like we call them like smart distribution panels. So all our panels are equipped with a GSM card. So wherever the panels or my main distribution boxes are going, so they are equipped with a card, so which tells me the whole monitoring of the energy. So if maybe like the house power has started or the genset has started, each and every hour we can monitor the energy, the load, the frequency. So we can do preventive maintenance of the panels. If something goes wrong, we anyways get a signal that something is going wrong with the system. So rather than reaching to a stage where something has gone wrong and we have no option, we can do preventive maintenance there and then. Heat shrink sleeves, again, we're going to talk about those. So, sorry, yeah. Yeah. So again, you must have heard IP65 and IP67. So what are IP65? Again, these are the safety norms which are being the equipment what you buy or the safety standards for electricals. They are measured in IP rated. So all the sockets you buy from the market, the power locks, the enclosures what you make, all have to be IP65 or IP67 as per international norms, not as per Indian norms as of now, but these are for the safety. So what is 6? So basically 6, the over here there is a solid object and the other one is the moisture basically. So when we say IP6, it means dust tight and no ingress of dust. We've already spoken that if it is an outdoor panel, if you are doing outdoor shows or maybe indoor also, the dust can't enter the electrical equipment because it is not good for electrical circuits also or any live wires also. So the material has to be IP6. Now comes 5. Whenever you're buying material, if it is IP65, it means that it is dust tight, no ingress of dust. 5 means that it is protected against jets of water, limited ingress permitted. Very, very important point when we are dealing with outdoor events or indoor events also. If you're doing an outdoor event, it rains. The first thing the power distribution company, what do? They run with plastic covers, or maybe they'll tell you to switch off the electricity. No, because it is raining, it is bad. No. In temporary electrification, if you're using IP rated material, you don't need to do anything with the electricity. It can go on. You don't need to take any precaution. It can take dust also, it can take water also for a limited period of time. So you don't need to run because you don't have, in the first few slides which I showed you, you have open panels, you have open junction boxes. So when it rains, everybody is running and covering those things. But the material which is available for temporary electrification, they come in IP65, certain things come in IP67. 7 basically mean that it is watertight. It is watertight against the effects of immersion in water between 15 centimeters and 1 meter for 30 minutes. So there are certain material which is IP67. There is certain material which is IP65. Both are right for doing your event. So foremost thing, the panels have to be IP65 or 67. Your sockets, what you're using for temporary have to be IP65, IP67. So these are what again like widely used. So these are for the smaller loads. So you have cables and sockets for the smaller loads. Over here, if you see that these are the 3-phase sockets, there is L1, there is L2, there is L3, there is N, and then there is PE. Over here, these are the wires which are being used over here. So there is a black, there is a green, there is a yellow, there is a red, and there is a blue. Now, if you see over here, this green wire, as soon as you start using the sockets, as soon as you go to the socket system, you have to buy the 5-core wires. So now what is happening? As soon as you start distributing the power, let it be your exhibitors. You have like an exhibition going on. The panel is there. The panel already has a socket. So you're laying your cables. You're giving the power to your exhibitor or anywhere. Automatically, the earth reaches the endpoint. In a normal case where we were using only 4 cores, like people were using only black, yellow, blue, and red and not this green color wire, what is happening? They are compromising on the safety factor, because only these 4 wires are required for your electricity to be on, but this 5th wire is for the safety factor. It is for saving your life on site, so nobody wants to buy it. But as soon as you start shifting to the socket system, your earthing is going from first point till the end point. So these are for the 3 phase. Again, if you see over here, I've written that these sockets only come in IP65 and IP67. As soon as you buy these, even because most of the time these sockets can be used for maybe your AC distribution, for maybe like a outdoor show if you're doing. So as soon as you start using these IP65 and IP67, those loose wires what are happening on site, or maybe underneath your carpets, somebody is doing like taping on site, that gets avoided immediately because it becomes a plug and play system. So these sockets come in 32 amps, they come in 63 amps. We've already spoken that the unit of power is amps. So they come in 3 forms, 32, 63 and 125 for the 3 phase. Now if you want to buy the single phase also, they also come in 16 amps and 32. There are other things also, but these are the most widely used sockets all over the world, or maybe in India as well. So again, when you are distributing single phase, so where single phase is required, mostly in your event plug points, everywhere you have 500 plug points, 200 plug points. As soon as you start using these kind of sockets for your plug points, this earthing wire will go through and through. Let it be your venue 1000 meters, whatever the size of the venue, wherever the power is coming from, it becomes that earthing is reaching till the end point of the plug point also. Normally, what I have seen, whenever the plug point is being distributed, there are only 2 color wires. One is the black and one is the red. I think most of you also must have seen that third, and those plastic white color boxes, which I think everybody is using with a switch. Absolutely unsafe. Absolutely unsafe. We're going to talk about why they are unsafe. That third wire, nobody wants to invest in, because again, that is for the safety. So these are for the smaller loads. There are things which are available for the bigger loads. One thing which I want to just like say before I move ahead. So over here, if you see 5 core, 4, 6 and 10. So again, there are certain square mm, the cables come in square mm. So there are certain square mm wires which are meant for certain kind of sockets. So maybe like a 5 core 4 square mm wire is meant for 32 amp socket, which means 10 kilowatts. So if I have to give a load of 10 kilowatts to maybe like a exhibition stall or exhibitor, so what we are doing, that we are using 5 core 4 square mm wire, we are using this socket, and at the end point we are giving a MCB, which I'm gonna talk about. Again, if you're using a 6 square mm wire 5 core, it can take a load up to 20 kilowatts. If you're using up to 10, it can take a load up to 30 kilowatts. So as and more we go ahead, the wire size changes and the socket size also changes, but the sockets only come up till 125 amps. These are for the smaller loads. When we say that distribute the power, when you say that give me 30 kilowatts of power, when you say give me 20 kilowatts of power, so up to 60 kilowatts, we can use these sockets. Yeah. Manoj, you need to mute yourself, please. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Again, very important. Again, safety. These are all safety equipments which are available. So, what is the difference between a MCB, a RCCB, or a ELCB? What they say versus a RCBO? We've spoken about those 5 points which can go wrong. The first point was undersized wiring. The second was overload. The MCB is saving you from 2 functions. As soon as you start using MCBs and not using live wires and open boxes, it saves you from 2 things. One is the short circuit. Any short circuit which is happening on site, this MCB will trip immediately. If any overload is happening on site, this MCB will trip immediately. These are the 2 functions which a MCB does for you. So again, you get saved with 2 functions. Because in an event, you're distributing power to so many people. Maybe like there are 600 exhibitors. When we are doing exhibitions, maybe there are 1000 exhibitors which are participating, and we are giving power to each and every exhibitor according to the load. So the load maybe is shared by the organizer that please give them 10 kilowatts. So again, we know that for a 10 kilowatts, we need to use a 4 square mm cable, a 32 amp socket, and at the end point, I need to give him a MCB or a ELCB or a RCBO. We'll go to the difference. So it saves me from 2 major functions, short circuit and overload. ELCB on the other hand does one function, which is the earth leakage circuit breaker. Again, we've spoken about that earthing is so important point in exhibition or outdoor event, and everything can go wrong if the earthing is not right. ELCB, as soon as you start using, it will save you from earth leakage also. If there is any earth fault which is happening in the system, it will automatically trip. RCBO is a combination of MCB and ELCB. It does all the three functions. It does short circuit also, it does overload also, and it does the ELCB earth fault also. So either you can use RCBO as a separate unit in your exhibition, or you can use these both also. They can get, you can just do a wiring and loop them also. That is also right. It is not necessary that you need to buy a RCBO. You can use MCB and ELCB both also. Okay, I think like there are a lot of, Nipit, you want to take some questions?
There are not many. They're just two questions as of now. How do you check if your MCB or ELCB is working?
So just come again, your voice cracked.
How do you check if your MCB or ELCB is working properly?
So ELCB, there is a overhead test regularly. Over here, if you see that on the ELCB, there is a test button. So you can check that if it is getting tripped or not. In a MCB, again, like if you have a small load, so normally what we do like in our warehouse, so if we have a load of like we have like small load banks, what we have created for 10 kilowatts, 20, 30, and it goes up to like 200. So what we do, like maybe like starting of the season when the material is going out in our warehouse, so we do a load test. So we give the MCB 10 kilowatts, what is meant to take, like a 32 amp MCB can take a 10 kilowatts load. So we give it 10 kilowatts. We see that if it trips or not. If it doesn't trip, obviously it is faulty. And if it trips, then obviously it is right. So those things are also, the load banks can be created on site.
Vaibhav, there's another question from Gaurav Anandji. What is the amount of charcoal and soil needed for GI pipe earthing?
So for a charcoal and soil, like I'm not like exactly sure, but I think it is around like 70-30. Like I think like 70 is your charcoal and 30 is your soil. But I like again, you can like just recheck it like on typing on Google or something. But as per me, like it is 70 and 30.
Okay, and there's one last question from Ravinder. Although you have already answered this, he wants to know during shows if you face problem of power cut, like even if you have a genset on, what precautions can we do so that it doesn't happen in future? Although you all have that backups and synchronization, probably he was not there that time.
Yeah, so like again, it all depends. Like if the power goes, you need to have a backup. Like again, like when I am doing like maybe like a high profile kind of event, I make sure that I get synchronized gensets on site. I don't trust the normal generators, but if I have to, then again, like we have like automatic changeovers which are available, which can at least we know that the power will come within 1 second. Because we also work on an outsource model. If I'm going to a state like Guwahati and like working over there, and I am dependent on the genset vendor whose gensets are not under my control, so I make sure that I create some backups, which maybe like sometimes the company only organizer give us that you have 3 backups on site. So we try to create the backup for the sensitive kind of like areas with automatic, so that we know that even if his operator is not there, which most of the time happens, that if something goes wrong, the operator has gone to the toilet. That is a very normal thing. I think everybody will agree. So using automatic, we are sure that the power will come on. Yeah.
Then there's very important question from G. If we use the best quality wires, should we still use conduit pipes to cover them?
It just like depends. If you're doing a lot of crossing and all, it is not about the wire. It is just about the crossing. If there is a lot of like movement of like vehicles and all, definitely use conduit pipes, or maybe use like good quality like cable managers. But it all depends like what kind of site it is. You can dig the cables also. There is absolutely no problem. But you just like need to be careful that a lot of heavy movement is not happening on the cables.
Okay. I think wherever we are good to go, you can proceed further on your presentation.
Okay. So just to recap everything, just like for the, I told you like for the smaller loads, like up to 60 kilowatts, we have sockets available. We have MCB available. Widely, we are not using a 125 amp MCB. We are using like till 63 amps, what everybody should know. So these are for the smaller loads. When I say smaller, up to 30 kilowatts. That 30 kilowatt loads, where can it be used? I'll just like give you an example. Your ACs, like if your 8.5 ton AC is coming, you multiply it by 1.75, whatever the kilowatts come. So the same size of wire, same size of socket has to be used, and the same size of MCB or ELCB or RCBO, whatever your vendor is being used or whatever you ask for, that has to be used for it. Now comes the higher loads. So we've spoken about loose cables, like they are doing connection with the PLAS. Then I told you that please do it with the lugs. Now what is like, again, like we have been using it for like past 4 years now. You don't need to do any connections on site. For temporary electrification, the best thing is that don't do any connection. Why? Because any wrong connection in normally in an event, if you're using PLAS and Pechkas and all those things, you're doing maybe like 3,000, 4,000 connections. Imagine, because if you have to connect 4 wires onto this, so imagine like if you have 1,000 stalls, 1,000 into 4 connections, you're doing 4,000 connections on site. How can it be avoided? If you're using these sockets, again, it becomes plug and play. You're not doing any connection. First of all, reliability becomes, it is easier because all the homework, what you've been doing is being done in your warehouse. So you don't have to worry about the connection. When we talk about higher loads, so these are the cables what we are using. It is all blue color because that is my company color. So they are manufactured especially for us. So what we have done, we have put power locks. This is the international norm for providing electricity all over the world. They are not using loose wires. They are not using lugs also. Lugs is also 20 years old now. What is the future? Future for India, basically, not for abroad. They've been using for 15 years. We've been using it for I think roughly 6 or 7 years now. So over here, I told you that phases of electricity are black, blue, green. Green is the earthing, yellow, and the red. As soon as we start using these power locks, so power locks come after 125. I told you that till 125 amps sockets comes. Now the loads have become higher. So I've given you a calculation that if your load is more than, if you want to calculate, if your load is 150 kilowatts, somebody has asked you for 150 kilowatts, you multiply it by 1.7, maybe you will get roughly around 250. So you use the right cable as per the size, the right power lock. So these power locks are all male and female. So if you have to travel a distance of 100 meters or 50 meters or 200 meters, what we are doing, we are only plug and play. So we have made a standard of 30, 60 and 90 meters in our warehouse. So anytime somebody says that go to a distance of 120 meters, what do? We take out 190, we take out 130, we plug and play. Red goes into red, yellow goes into yellow, blue goes into blue, green goes into green, black goes into black. If someone tries to put black into green, it won't go. If somebody tries to put blue into red, it won't go. These power locks are made as per that. So you are absolutely sure on site that no wrong connection will happen on site, because any loose connection can lead to a fire or like a big accident on site. So all the homework needs to be done from the warehouse. All these power locks are IP67. Now these power locks, I told you, like the sockets are 65 and 67. The power locks, as soon as you use IP67, again, they are dust tight. They become absolutely watertight, because most of the time your main cables are outside. Your gensets are outside. You're maybe in an exhibition hall, the cables are inside. But when you're doing an outdoor event, most 90% of the time, your gensets are outside only, obviously. When you're laying cables, maybe it rains. Our venues are not so nicely done. The water logging is a very big problem. When you are using these power locks, if they are submerged also in water for half an hour, also when it starts rains, there is no problem. Normally what will happen, as soon as it starts raining, there will be some patakas going on side, and that's why the electricity keeps on going off, on, off, on. When you're using power locks, you don't need to worry, you don't need to run. So your connections becomes absolutely safe. You don't have to put those wooden boxes or metal boxes in between, what are called junction boxes. Normally what happens that if you're going to a distance of 200 meters, maybe a vendor has 60 meters, 70 meters, he's trying to connect two cables. What he does, he makes a loose joint, he puts tapes on it, and it is done. When it rains, he is running and putting a plastic cloth over it. As soon as you start using the power locks, you don't need to worry about all these. So again, higher the load, higher. So MCBs, I told you, that are meant for smaller loads. Now comes the MCCBs. These are meant for the bigger loads. They start from like 100 amps, goes up to 800 amps also. So again, bigger load, bigger cables. So where we are using MCCBs. I'll just like give you example. When somebody is asking for bulk load, it could be your soundlight LED, it could be your AC guy who says that give me 200 kilowatts on the right hand side and give me 200 kilowatts on the left hand side of the hanger. So again, the genset, maybe it is a 380 kVA or a 500 kVA. What we do, we lay cables as per the size of the load, what has been asked from us. We put a MCCB of, maybe if you have asked for 200 kilowatts, we multiply it by 1.7. Maybe you will get around 350 or something odd. And we give him obviously a higher rating MCCB, which is a 400 amps. Again, what does it do? It saves you from short circuit, it saves you from overload, and there are certain MCCBs, thermal based, which can also save you from the earth fault also. So again, it becomes a, till the end point where the power is being taken, it becomes an absolutely safe system. So any questions on this? Nimit, do you have any questions?
We have got a couple of them. So one is from Rishabh. What is the correct wire size for 27 kilowatt load maximum over 3-phase line if we use a copper wire?
So for a 27 up to what I said, up to like if your load is from 20 kilowatts to 30, 32 kilowatts, you can use a 5-core 10 square mm copper cable. That is recommended for that. If you go to 60 kilowatts, then you can use a 5-core 25 square mm copper cable, and so on so forth. There is a chart which is obviously, like if you just type it on Google, cable rating capacity with amps, you will get that chart. So you can follow that chart every time somebody is asking you for a load, and you can pass it on to your power distribution company that this is the right wire size we want on site. So again, like one more thing which I missed. So these cables are all rubber cables, which I told you what we use. These are all copper cables and these are all rubber cables. So we are only using like rubber cables now, no aluminum, no PVC, nothing, because again, we want like the shelf life should be more.
Okay.
So again, like just to again like recap, what can go wrong? The right equipment which is available in the market, the sockets, the power lock, the MCB. Now everything has to come together and form a panel or a junction box. So again, for every power distribution company, because things are not available in the market, the only things which are available in the market are the power locks you can buy, the wire, the right size of wires you can buy, the sockets you can buy, and the MCBs you can buy. Now the whole structure of your panel also has to be IP, which I told you that your sockets are IP65, your power locks can be IP67, everything, but your panel enclosure also has to be enclosed so that the water doesn't go, because most of the time these panels are placed outside. So again, this is a junction box what we have created like maybe like a year back. So what we have done, so this is for the bulk power. When I say bulk power, again, it means that maybe your AC guy, your sound light LED guy has asked for bulk power. He says that this dedicated genset or this dedicated load, just give me over here. Don't distribute it. So what we have done, again, these are all these panels, we call them like junction boxes, are all IP65. They are enclosed. As you can see, the cables are coming from the power locks. On the other side, we have to have open ends, because we are, till the time everybody doesn't start using power locks, the best connection would be that the other side, let it be your sound, light, LED, AC guys also give us the cables which are fitted with power locks. It becomes an absolutely tight kind of a connection. Again, we are restricted that people are not using, so we have given them links on this side. So this box we can open with a key, and the cables come from the other side and they get connected. Inside this, we place the MCCB, which again I told you that does 3 major functions. The phase indicating lights over here, if you see, there is a red, yellow and blue. As soon as the power comes on, we get to know that all the phases of electricity are coming, the red, yellow, blue, which are important. Then there is a multifunction meter, which I told you that you don't need to have a multimeter on site. As soon as the power comes on, we don't need to have a multimeter and start checking every time that what is the voltage, what is the frequency and what is the load. So over here, when the power comes on, we get to know that what is the load, what is the frequency, and this thing. Earth fault meters, again on the back end side, what we have done, we've put earth fault meters. So again, you don't need to check that voltage to phase. You can just open the window and you can just see that the right value of earthing is coming. 0 to 30 MA is acceptable. When I say MA, it is milliamps. Milliamps, it is acceptable. Anything above 30 MA, the system will trip. Over voltage, under voltage protections. Again, like we've given that if over voltage comes, the MCCB will trip. If there is under voltage, then also the MCCB will trip. One major function what we have developed on our own is the neutral brake protection. Normally, what happens that if this neutral breaks, there is going to be like what maybe you must have heard on side, कि 440 volts हो गया, सब कुछ फूक गया. That normally happens when the neutral breaks, because this is what is keeping everything together. These four have to be together. If one also breaks, there is going to be a dhamaka on site. So we've made a protection that if the neutral breaks, then also the MCCB will trip. It won't. No, in a normal scenario, there will be a 440 volts of electricity. All your lights, LED, everything will go for a toss. But with this, it won't happen. The last is online monitoring, which I told you. So we want to monitor the energy. So every time this panel is going anywhere, let it be in Guwahati or Hyderabad, wherever. So in our house, we can, like in our office, we can sit, and that app we have developed that we will give to our clients so that we can monitor the energy. And now why it is important to save on your genset cost. See, normally what happens, maybe your AC vendor says that please give me 10 gensets of 500 kVA, and maybe as an organizer, you give him also 500 kVA 10 genset. When we are able to monitor the energy each and every hour, we can tell you that, boss, you have asked for 10 500 kVAs, which is equivalent to maybe 3,500 kilowatts. But during your event, you were only using 2,500. So from the next time, again, you can reduce those costs, which is the major cost on site, which is the diesel running cost always. So those things are possible with the online monitoring. So one more thing I just want to show you, that over here we've spoken about the neutral earth, the body earth, which I was talking about. All the panels over here, there is a bolt. So if you see the same earth, the same rod goes, this green color wire comes, and this, because inside this a lot of electrical is happening. So this is the body earth. Now you see there is one more wire, which I'll just open my pointer. Now there is one more wire which is going like this. So this is what we have looped to the truss. So this is the layer scaffolding. So this is the event what we were doing. So on it, there was sound and there was some lights. So what we did, that we did a body earth, we made a loop, and over here there must be a bolt, and we connected that green color wire. So the panel also got body earth, the layer scaffolding also got body earth over there only. So this is for the bulk power. Now this is the panel what we are using for distributing the power, which is the most important for any exhibition, event, whatever, like we are doing a live event, a wedding, whatever we guys are doing. So again, we have spoken about sockets, we had spoken about MCBs, we had spoken about power locks. So this is what we have designed. So this is again a IP65 panel, so that if it rains, we don't have to go and cover my panel. It is not like an open panel. Each and every socket is controlled by a separate MCB. There is a MCCB on top. The main power is coming from the power lock. There is a MCCB on top, which again is a thermal. So if there is any earth fault, it will automatically trip over there. Now, why this panel is very important? If you have a 8.5 ton AC, which can only is 12 kilowatts or whatever that calculation says, each and every AC will be given separately. As per the rules, you don't need to give bulk power. Every AC, every activity which is happening on site needs to be separately controlled. In a case of, just to give you an example, in a case of exhibition, if you see, every exhibitor asks for separate loads. Give me 10, give me 5, give me 2, give me 10, give me 20. The same way, when we are doing an outdoor event, if you have a lot of ACs, you have a lot of plug points, you have anything on site, everything has to be separately controlled. Why? Again, first and foremost thing, it is easier to identify the fault. If something goes wrong in the electricity, people are not running here and there. Kya hua, what has happened? Everything has gone down. If you are giving separate control to every separate activity, it is easier for you to get to know that something has gone wrong, and only that person will suffer. If you're having like 20 units of AC, if one AC gets faulty, only one MCB will trip. It is easier to replace one AC rather than everything goes off, and then you're saying that what goes wrong, take out some wires, take out this. So this is as per Indian electricity rules, that everything needs to be separately controlled. Same case you can see in your houses where you're sitting. You have a main distribution board outside your house. Drawing room or maybe your bedroom is separately controlled. If there is a short circuit which happens, you run to your distribution board and you switch it on only for your master bedroom. Your drawing room or your kitchen, everything is not getting suffered. Same way, temp areas also needs to be done. So all the same features which I showed you over here, that earth fault meters, everything, so they are also placed behind the panel. Now these are the wires what we are using. Again, blue, my company color, so they are manufactured only for us. So these are all flat cables. So what we are using are flat rubber copper cables. We're not using any round cables. Again, I also do a lot of exhibitions. So what we realized from the very first day, that when we are using round, there is a lot of cable manager, the aesthetics go wrong. So we started investing in flat cables. So again, if one or two cables are crossing from one aisle to another aisle, you don't need to put cable managers. People can just like cross over it. If there is a lot of crossing which has happened, then ultimately you put a cable manager only. So what is happening? This socket is connected to singly. If I have like 10 loads to be given on site, maybe like a 10 kilowatt. So this socket goes into this socket, which is controlled by a single MCB. And at the end point also, we are giving him a box. So this box, again, like if you see, the molds have been made by us. Quick Power is my brand. So the plastic molds we've got done on our own. These are the heat sink sleeves which I spoke. So again, I told you that the sockets can be IP67 or 65, but when you're connecting your cables inside the socket, there is still a small gap which is left. So that we cover it by a heat shrink sleeve, so that even a droplet of water doesn't go inside this, because again, there are live wires connected to it. So 5-core 4 mm cable suitable for 32 amps socket. Inside this also, there could be a 32 amp MCB or a ELCB or both, or a RCBO. So now, just to give you an example, if you try to break any chain, like, so basically inside this, there is a 32 amp socket. This is also a 32 amp, MCB. This is a socket. The cable is 4 mm. The MCB inside is 32 mm, and the socket is also 32. If now I try to play little bit, I try to undersize my cable. So maybe I'm not using a 4, I start using a 2.5. So what will happen? The load will come according to 10 kilowatts. The wire will start getting heated up. In this case, we have an MCB, so it will trip because of the overload. But if you break any chain of electricity starting from your genset or from your house power till the end point, there is going to be any problem which I told you. Those 5 problems can happen on site. Again, different type of socket. This is for 30 kilowatts. Again, like we've differentiated our boxes into like orange color. So this is 30 kilowatts, 10 square mm wire, 63 amps ELCB or MCB with a heat sink sleeve. So again, this goes inside the panel, separately controlled. So anybody who's asking for a 30 kilowatt load, that could be your 17-ton AC on site, or that could be an exhibitor who's asking for 30 kilowatts load. So from the genset or maybe from the house power, we take the power, it comes inside this box. This socket, maybe there's a 63 amp. We put our flat cable inside this, and at the end point, we give the exhibitor that please connect your wires in these 2 holes only. They have to be separate also. Again, a very important aspect for like any event are plug points. So again, the plug points we've developed on our own. It is a die, like a plastic die. So what we have done over here, like we have 2 sockets. What we have tried to do, we put a MCB inside it. So we don't want that plastic box where there is a switch, because everything goes wrong with that switch. We don't want to run everywhere that something wrong has happened, then only the person will call us. So if he's trying to overload, if there is a short circuit, the MCB will automatically trip off the plug point also. This plug point is separately controlled. These are the single phase sockets. So plug points are single phase. The sockets come in 16 amps and 32 amps. That means 16 amps is around 2 or 3 kilowatts, you can say. So there is a different kind of socket. So 1 kilowatt, and 2 pins we have given extra, because if somebody is asking for 2 plug points, maybe they want to charge their mobile, we don't want to lay extra cable. So we've given them 2 plug points also, that no problem, you can charge your mobile as well. So all these things are separate. This is my smaller panel. So from the main panel, we give power to this smaller panel. Over here, there are different sockets. So each and every, so if you have 500 plug points on site, we're not making any circuits. Every MCB is controlled by this socket is controlled by this MCB. Then we lay a wire, and then one single plug point is given to each and every activity. Let it be 1,000 plug points on site. Why? Again, it is easier to identify fault. If something goes wrong, everything is not going for a toss. Normally, what happens is that you're having a wire, and in that everybody is trying to put 5 plug point, 10 plug point, 15 plug point, and ultimately, if somebody tries to overload those wires, the wires start getting melted. Over here, what will happen if somebody's trying to overload my circuit also? It will trip over there only. He has to call me. He has to call my supervision. That boss, your plug point is tripping. It is easier to deal with one plug point rather than maybe 50 plug points on one circuit. So that was the purpose. Over here again, there is a ELCB what we have given. So again, like I think like one question everybody must be having: so many ELCB, so much tripping happening on site. How do you overcome that? Again, according to the experience, what we have done, that in our panels also, this panel, and this panel, what we have done, we have made a changeover out of it. So normally what happens during the setup, all the safeties are on. Everything is on during when the show is about to, like during your setup. So we try to eliminate problems. If somebody is trying to get a faulty microwave, maybe a LED wall is faulty, maybe a light is faulty. So our system keeps on tripping, which is good because it is for safety. During the show day, we switch off all the safety because till the setup, we have already eliminated 99.9% problems. So on the show day only maybe for those 12 hours or maybe for those 4 hours or 5 hours, we do a changeover of all our safeties. Though it is not recommended, but again, till the time everybody doesn't get educated that this tripping is for safety, and it is not that the system trips a lot, your electricity is at fault. If the system is tripping, that means something is going wrong with the system. Maybe not ours, maybe somebody who is connected, maybe a AC gets faulty, the MCB will trip. Maybe the LEDs, your lights, the stage lights are faulty, the MCB will trip. So that safety, these are only for the safeties. So usually, like according to the feedback, that the show must go on, there should be no tripping. That is not dependent entirely on the power distribution company. It is dependent on the equipment which is being connected also on it. So during the show day, we do a small changeover. The supervision staff does a small changeover so that the show can go on without any trippings and all. Cable managers, I think everybody is aware of. These are the 3-channel cable managers which are widely used for outdoor. There are 2 channels, there are 3 channels also. So recently what we did, that you have a straight line. So whenever you have corners, so we got the corners basically. So normally the corners are exposed. So over here also somebody can lay a cable manager. So when the cable is turning, we got those corners for left and right. So the cables what you see are all copper. So they go inside these. So again, like my tip from you, the safety is always important and is never an option. Maybe once in a lifetime something goes wrong. Maybe once in a lifetime something absolutely there is a disaster. So don't wait for that time that you're playing with electricity, because someday or the other, if something goes wrong, the company also goes down, the employees also goes down, everything just goes down. So again, like we at Third Wave Services are executing in a safe and proper way with authorized equipment, trained personnel, and safe processes. So just to show you some work pictures. So again, as I told you, like the panels are IP65, 67, we are using sockets. So this was a little flea, like one show what we do, in which there are 650 stalls. So I personally insisted the organizer that my electrical panels will be exposed to the public. Normally everybody is scared of the electrical panels, that please hide them. We made sure that our panels were kept outside. You see that people have put their decorative items also on it. But again, when you start using sockets, when your panels are absolutely tight, you're not scared about rain, water, anything. So you can do all that. Safety gear, again, which is very important. I feel like whosoever is listening to me, that safety jackets, safety shoes should be a norm. This is the very basic thing for any company that you can give to your workers on site. So it took us also 1.5 years to make them understand. But now we make sure that they are always wearing their safety shoes and safety jackets when they are coming on sites also. So this is again a picture of the Namaste Trump, what we did in the month of February. So the gensets were 300 meters away. we were using aluminum armored because again it was under construction site, so we didn't want to carry copper cables. Again, copper is expensive, it is prone to theft also, so you have to be careful when you are using copper cable. So we were over here using aluminum armored cables. This is the plug point which is being used. Aesthetics over here also, like one thing which like we try to achieve from last year to this year are the aesthetics. The cables have to be laid in a proper fashion. So once you start using these systems, you get time for testing, you get time for aesthetics. Otherwise, 3 days of work, 3 days of setup, 3 days of show, who gets time for testing and who gets time for aesthetics? But when we are using such plug and play, we are not using any plas, we are not using any pagekas, nothing. So we get time for doing all this. Again, these panels, you see, like this is for the sound light LED, and this is could be for the green room. So these are the three warehouses where we are present. All my teams are separate, so no teams gets involved in each other. I myself stay in Bombay now. I'm from Delhi, but I shifted to Bombay 3 years back. So Delhi, NCR, Hyderabad, and Mumbai, where we are operating in full force as of now. Yep. So this was it.
Thank you, Vaibhav. I must say that you have an impressive setup, and that was a really knowledgeable presentation.
Thank
and
you.
Can you have one round of applause? I know that it's not possible to do virtually. Can you just write CLAP in the chat box? Our speaker is, at least we can say thanks to him for sharing such wonderful knowledge.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Since we are over time now, we are at 5:07. Do we take the questions right now? If you want me to take the questions right now, type yes. Otherwise, Vaibhav can reply to all these questions later on at email. Type yes if you want to take questions right now. I've got one yes.
I'll share my email ID also on it. So if anybody wants to just send me a mail on the question, definitely, and I'll just type my mobile number.
I would like to share a very important information. If you have liked today's session, we are having another session on Wednesday on aluminum structure safety. So it starts at 4:30 and it is going to be again by Ramit Parmar, country head, Losberger. So the link for the same will be shared shortly after this session. My request to you would be to mark your presence, register yourself, and to look forward to meet you again on Wednesday. Now we will just take up few questions and we'll try to wrap up this session by 5:45. Starting from, now the problem is because of the claps, I have missed the questions. Probably what we can do is, if you have any direct questions, I will unmute you and then you can ask Vaibhav directly.
Yeah, please, let's go.
Avinash ji, you had some query, right?
Yes, hello.
Yes, please.
Hi, Vaibhav. I just want to know one of my event in Varanasi that is in 2019. So the problem is that due to some AC failure, electricity failure, all the AC was shut down, and it takes 4 to 5 hours. So I just want to know what is the measures, safety measures that we will be taken in the future so that it.
See, first of all, like see again, any equipment can go wrong. There is no thumb rule that this equipment is right or this equipment is wrong, because electricity is a chain. So the only thing which I feel that if one AC was faulty or maybe you have 30 ACs, every AC, if it was separately controlled, it would have been easier for you to shut down one AC.
Yes. So
if you're putting all the ACs into like one, if they are not separately controlled, then it is a problem also. And the testing needs to be done on site if there is any earth fault. See, again, it is a motor. After a point of time, any motor or any winding also gives you like earthing fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how can we identify the single stall electricity fluctuation from a single MCB?
See, if there is a fluctuation in single stall, it doesn't mean that your electricity is wrong. Simple. Like it is a very simple. Like if for any stage also, if only one LED wall is flickering, that doesn't mean that your genset is faulty or your electricity is faulty. If your whole show electricity is like the voltages are going up and down, then only there is a problem. Okay. So that problem lies with their wiring, the inside wiring the exhibitor must have done.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinashi. There's one more. It's a very common problem which everyone faces. Mayank has a question. He says that what can we do for connection for Octonom stalls? So just imagine, we are doing about 500 Octonom stalls, and there are a lot of cables which are seen on the back of the panels, which is very dirty. So do you have any solution for that?
See, Octonom panels, like whenever we are giving power to like shell scheme always, so it is the same, like because a group of stalls, because if each and every shell needs to get the power separately, then it becomes like a whole jal of wires. So in shell scheme, it is fine that because normally earlier what used to happen in shell schemes and all, that you need to you used to have like halogens and big metal lights. Now only 2 spotlights are there. It has come down to LED lights, which are only I think like 20 or 30 watts. So we make a kind of a circuit out of it, and at the end point, you give a ELCB. You give a ELCB. If something goes wrong, at least you know that it is tripping. That is like what we are giving at the endpoint for a shell.
We have got one question from Rishabh. Rishabh, I'm unmuting you. Rishabh ji?
Yeah, I'm Rishabh. Hi, Vaibhav. I was having a question. Like, I work with the AV industry, so I wanted to know, if like I'm drawing, like my load is 25 kVA, okay, for the LED screen and the sound light. Okay, and all this is separated into like 3 phases. Okay, my main concern is like if sometimes the power shoots up and like the voltage and it drops. So what is the correct equipment which we should use to trip or to stop the failure of like damaging the equipment?
Over voltage and under voltage relays come. So basically, like in your panels, the main distro panels, what you can do, your MCCBs can be linked to those relays. And the over voltage and under voltage.
We are using one big power distribution box.
Yes.
The main cable goes into the red one,
yes.
and the small ones the blue ones.
Yes.
Blue ones comes out of it. So we are using that kind of a box. But that box only shows the voltage level and so wanted to know how can I like add on one equipment?
Rishabh, you can just like modify that system. It is possible. It is not like with your same distro, you can. So if you ask like any electrical engineer, you need to consult the person who knows electricals. So if you ask, he'll just put a relays and under voltage and over voltage relays also, so that your equipment. See, if by chance the genset voltage goes up or down, your system will trip.
Yeah.
Otherwise, normally what happens that if there is an over voltage, it will cause all your LED walls will go down. It will burn.
Yes. So that relays are going to be fixed inside the distribution box.
Inside the distribution box, those relays can be placed.
Okay. I got a suggestion from a local guy. He told me that I need to buy like 3 separate stabilizers for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
No, that doesn't even. It will be at your main, that where the MCCB is. You can put those relays and contractors. There's a small little wiring which happens, but it will save you from the over voltage and the under voltage also. It will trip your system as soon as if there is any voltage fluctuation. You can, and in those meters, you can set the voltage also. As I told you that 220 to 240 maybe is right for your equipment also. So you can set that range in that over voltage and under voltage, that if the voltage goes above 240, my system should trip.
Okay. And one last question. Like I saw your presentation, there were flat cables. I really like that cable. They are pretty handy in the rental stuff, because we are using the round ones. Round ones are very difficult to in like conference halls and big auditoriums. It's very difficult to hide them. But the flat ones like are easier to handle with. So what's the difference between both of them? Like in the working thing. Like,
there is no difference between the working is absolutely the same. There is so in like if you want like PVC cables, I think like companies like Polycab and all those companies are also making. I don't know if they are making in rubber. So I am using all rubber cables, because again like they are only manufactured especially for us only. So all the material which I showed you, everything is manufactured in my factory. Like I don't buy anything from the market. So all the dyes, everything we make by ourselves. But companies like Polycab and Hevels, or maybe some other companies also, maybe like Finolex also, are making flat cables now. There are flat cables available in the market.
Okay, Vaibhav, thank you. I would be sending you an email for the products which I need.
Sure.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you. Vaibhav, we will just take one more question from the audience, but before that, I will try to ask you 2 questions before we have someone from the audience themselves.
Yeah.
And that will be the last question for the day. So from Mike, there's a question: what is the brand of lugs and the brand of circuit breakers you recommend?
Lugs can be dowels. So there is a. I'll just like write it over here also.
Okay.
How do I go? So lugs, there is Dowels company.
Circuit breakers and cables.
Circuit breakers can be from reputed, like what we are using for the MCBs, like the small MCBs which I showed you. We are using all Hager. They are the best in the market. You can use L&T as well. Also, L&T is also, so any reputed make. Don't use any local, because if you're using it for your own self consumption, use the best quality, because it will have like more life. And for the main MCCBs, what we are using all L&T only. L&T is like really good. We've been using for
another very common problem which everyone faces. Exhibition, how do you calculate or check power load of a single stall if he's using more kilowatt than he has paid for?
Simple. The answer is simple. That provider. So see if I told you that there is a certain MCB which can take a load, and after, if it is overloaded, it will trip. So if your stall guy is asking for 5 kilowatts, so ultimately as a power distribution company, we are only giving him 5 kilowatts, or maybe like 6 or 7. In an exhibition, what we normally do for the bigger format shows, if somebody asks us for 30 kilowatts, we give them 35, because again, we want to keep that 10-15% buffer. So we use that kind of MCB, which will tell him that no boss, if you're trying to use more, you please come back. You please come back and apply for more. And that is what is cost saving for any organizer, because that is their main concern.
Got it. Thank you, Vaibhavji. Now the last question from Gauravji. Gauravji, you wanted to ask something to Vaibhavji. Gaurav, please come online. Gauravji, please come online. Are you there? Gaurav. I think he's left, but I can still see his name over here. Anyway, so
Hello.
Hi, Guruji.
Sir, good evening. I am from Dara Project.
हाँ जी.
सर, एक प्रॉब्लम होती है, हम अपनी एग्जीबिशंस वगैरह में ना सब अर्थिंग सारी चीजें जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सेफ्टी से रिलेटेड है वो सारी चीजें करते हैं, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये आती है कि जब वो फैब्रिकेटेड स्टॉल कोई बनाता है वो अपनी अर्थिंग नहीं करता, उसकी वजह से बाय चांस कभी शॉर्ट सर्किट, उसकी लाइट फ्यूज होना, हमारा सर्किट बंद होना, उसके लिए भी ऑर्गेनाइजर जो है वो समझते नहीं है और वो हमारे ऊपर ही सारी बात आ जाती है.
वो आप यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट. वो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हमारी भी है, क्योंकि हम चाहे अपनी 3 कोर केबल्स इस्तेमाल कर लें, हम अपनी 5 कोर केबल इस्तेमाल कर लें, लेकिन जब तक सामने की तरफ से भी 5 कोर या 3 कोर नहीं मिलेगा, द इलेक्ट्रिकल कनेक्शन वो बिल्कुल आपस में जुड़ेगा नहीं. बट मतलब हमारे साथ लाइक वी हैव स्टार्टेड, like whenever we are quoting or whenever we always tell them that boss, your exhibitor also needs to use 5 core cables, otherwise we are not responsible. It is a very basic norm. मैं वही आपको कह रहा हूँ, जो वो 4 wires हैं, everybody wants to use black, yellow, blue and red, but वो जो 5th wire है, nobody wants to use, because वो safety के लिए.
उसकी वजह से बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं.
तो वो like the organizer has to be insisted from the very first day that please tell your exhibitors to it has to be a norm. It has to be a norm. जैसे आज की डेट में एग्जीबिशन जब हम करते हैं तो एक नॉर्म है कि एमसीबी आपने प्रोवाइड करना है हर एक स्टॉल को. पहले नहीं होता था, पहले होता था कि सर्किट डाल दो पूरा.
सही है.
नॉर्म यहाँ पे आता है कि अगर, और सिंपली बात है कि अगर मैं ELCB इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, अगर उसने ये अर्थिंग नहीं दिया तो मेरा तो सिस्टम ही ट्रिप होते रहेगा.
बिल्कुल.
So that again becomes a part of telling your organizer that please tell your exhibitors to use 5 core or 3 core cables if they have to connect to our system.
वन मोर क्वेश्चन है सर. एक है, जैसे मैंने पहले भी अभी थोड़ा राइट अप करा था कि मशीनरी फेयर्स जैसे बहुत सारे होते हैं, उस पे हम अपनी अर्थिंग करते हैं, नॉर्मल अर्थिंग और केमिकल. आपने कहा कि केमिकल अर्थिंग बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन कई ऐसी जगह है, कई ऐसे वेन्यू है जहाँ पे केमिकल अर्थिंग नहीं हो सकती या कुछ प्रॉब्लम होती है इनके. लेकिन जो अर्थिंग हम करते हैं कोयला नमक वगैरह डाल के, उससे ना हमें सही फ्रीक्वेंसी नहीं मिलती, जिसकी वजह से क्या कहते हैं, एग्जीबिटर की मशीन नहीं चलती, उसकी मशीन में प्रॉब्लम होती है. उसका कोई सोल्यूशन है?
बेसिकली मैं फिर से वो कहूंगा, लाइक अर्थिंग आप चाहे रॉड अर्थिंग कर लो, आप चाहे पाइप अर्थिंग कर लो, जो फ्रीक्वेंसी का लेना देना है या उसका लेना है, उसका अनबैलेंस लोड से भी लेना देना है. आपका लोड भी अगर अनबैलेंस्ड होगा तो आपको अर्थिंग प्रॉपर नहीं मिलेगी. तो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ फैक्टर्स उस चीज को करने के लिए, अवॉइड करने के लिए. और अगर आपको फ्रीक्वेंसी या अर्थिंग चेक करना है कि आपने जो अर्थिंग दी है और
हाँ,
दूसरी आप पावर जब आप ऑन करने से पहले आप अपनी अर्थिंग एक बार चेक करो. मतलब एज अ वेंडर लाइक हम क्या करते हैं, क्योंकि अर्थिंग एक पूरी चेन है. अगर मैं कहता हूँ एक स्टेज लाइट भी खराब होगी तो भी अर्थिंग का फॉल्ट आ जाएगा. तो हम जब अपनी पावर ऑन करने वाले होते हैं तो हम पहले चेक करवाते हैं कि ये हमारी अर्थिंग है, देखो हमारी वैल्यू 0 है. अब जब उसने एमसीसी भी ऑन करा, अपनी पावर ऑन करी, तब हमारे को पीछे मीटर में ये पता चल जाता है कि उसकी कोई ना कोई कहीं से अर्थिंग आ रहा है. उसके बाद वी ट्राई टू आइडेंटिफाई फॉल्ट. फॉल्ट ढूंढना भी बहुत आसान है क्योंकि हर चीज का सॉकेट है. आपने एक सॉकेट बंद करा, अगर वैल्यू 0 हो गई तो आपको पता है यही वाला सॉकेट है जो फॉल्टी है.
अच्छा सर, एक चीज, अब जैसे हमारा इवेंट है, मशीनरी फेयर है, सुपर स्ट्रक्चर है, एल्यूमिनियम है, किचन है, कैफेटेरिया वगैरह, इन सब की इलेक्ट्रिक डिवीजन कहता है इन सब की इलेक्ट्रिक अर्थिंग सबकी अलग होनी चाहिए, सबकी.
बिल्कुल.
लेकिन ये सर कॉस्ट कटिंग की बात भी अगर हम करी जाए, कॉस्ट में भी देखा जाए, बहुत इफेक्ट पड़ता है सर इसका. कितनी अर्थिंग कर लेंगे? क्योंकि अगर 60 मीटर बाय 100 मीटर का अगर एक हैंगर लगा है, उसमें कहते हैं कि 4 अर्थिंग होनी चाहिए. 4 अर्थिंग हो गई, 20 जनरेटर हो गए, और कैफेटेरिया हो गया, उसकी मशीनरी हो गई.
मैं आपको एक ही चीज कहूंगा, बजट सेफ्टी को कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं कर सकता. मैं समझ रहा
Very well said,
हूँ. मत करो. जो चीज आपकी लाइफ को बचा सकती है, एवरीथिंग कैन गो रॉन्ग, वो तो फिर ऑर्गेनाइजर का भी आ जाता है. द प्रॉब्लम हमारे साथ भी है. ये नहीं कि हमने इतना बड़ा सामान बना लिया तो हर कोई आके हमारे को हाथ खोल के पैसे दे रहे, यार ले लो सब कुछ, आप हमारे से आप सेफ्टी दे दो. बट ये वाले जो नॉर्म्स हैं, ये ऑलरेडी हमारे को आगे अपने क्लाइंट को या ऑर्गेनाइजर को बोलना चाहिए कि ये एक नॉर्म सेट होना ही होना चाहिए. यू कांट कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद समवन्स लाइफ. के ऊपर आप 2 अर्थिंग बचा ली. मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, ये वाली जो चीजें हैं एक ही बारी लाइफ टाइम में इस्तेमाल आती हैं, बार बार नहीं आएंगी, खाली एक बारी.
सही. एग्री सर, थैंक यू.
Thank you, Vaidehi, for answering it so well. Is it possible to share some sort of guidance for all ESA members so that we can share it with all members that this is what is required to be followed as per industry protocol?
So basically, like I'll come back to my initial points. Firstly, please make sure qualified electrical contractor license तो यार बंदे के पास होना चाहिए जो आपका पावर का काम करने वाला है. Your genset vendor cannot be your power distribution vendor.
Correct.
Second point है कि जो बंदा काम पे साइट पे करने आ रहा है वो क्वालिफाइड होना चाहिए यार. सिंपल, एक डिग्री, एक डिप्लोमा, एक कोई भी इंजीनियर तो साइट पे आए. और तीसरी चीज है कि वो सॉकेट्स अगर इस्तेमाल कर रहा है या 3 कोर, जो मैंने आपको बोला कि अर्थिंग की जो केबल है, पूरा का पूरा सिस्टम जो कहीं पे भी खराब, आज तक मेरे भी हो गए 15 साल काम करते हुए, कहीं पे भी सिस्टम खराब हुआ है, या वो अर्थिंग का फॉल्ट है या वो अंडर साइज वायरिंग का फॉल्ट है. ये 2 मेजर फॉल्ट मैंने अपने जितने भी काम करे हैं, या वायर गर्म होती है या वो अर्थिंग का फॉल्ट होता है, कहीं पे किसी को करंट लग रहा होता है, अर्थिंग ठीक नहीं आ रही. यही 2 मेजर फॉल्टों को हम ट्राई टू एलिमिनेट ऑन साइट.
चलो ठीक है. So well, let's conclude today's session. It was very, very, very informative.
Thanks a lot.
We have one round of clap once again for Weber.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
CLAP, the chat box.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of appreciation. Thank you everyone for coming over, and thank you Vaidehi for taking our time today.
And I like just everybody keep safe and see you on ground. Let's see when, but soon.
And look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday. We are having a very important session on aluminum structure safety by Ramit Parmar. Okay. Thank you everyone.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.